When I get spam calls, I tell them this is my work phone and to call me on my personal phone. I give them my phone number of an old friend who screwed me over big time. I never thought of this, but it sounds like an excellent idea. Let's see where this goes. As the title says, I get spam calls all the time. I'm very polite and I say that I'm sorry, but this is my work phone and I'm interested in talking with them, but I can only talk on my personal phone. The guy's phone number who I give seriously screwed me a couple of years back after being lifelong best friends. F that guy. Welcome to Spam Call Hell. Okay, explanation time. So I've known this dude my whole life. We were best friends for 16 years. For probably the past 5-ish years before we parted ways, we dreamed of running a business together. He moves to another part of the state about 5 hours away, and one night he calls me up and says he found a business for us to run together. The time had come. He's found what seems like a perfect opportunity. So I pack up my bags, get my now wife, then girlfriend on board, and move to an area we know no one and have no job opportunities. But it was my dream, so why not? Literally signing a lease, move my stuff into the house we're sharing. The day after I move in, he tells me he's been working on another business and it's taking off, and tells me without warning he's not doing business with me. It really hurt me, but he was my best friend. So I moved on and tried to make a life for myself in this strange place. Over the next couple of years, he starts hanging out with a new crowd, doing drugs, weed, and cocaine, and starts saying pretty rude things to me about how I've done nothing with my life and I'm becoming a real loser. I'm infuriated, but I didn't want to let him know that. Fast forward a few months. I set up a hard-to-plan weekend with all my closest friends to come to our house, and at the end, I was to propose to my now wife. Well, the night of the big engagement, she says yes. I'm over the moon. What does he do? Invites all these new friends over, and they crash the party, do drugs in the bathroom, eat the food that I made from scratch for the night, and only had enough for my friends. Then 20 minutes after the food is all gone, I have a new fiance. He decides that they're going to go to the bar and ditches me with the mess and lack of food. I didn't tell him I was furious. Instead, I pretended everything was okay, letting him think that he'd be the best man in the wedding. Then once our shared lease was up, I moved out into a new place with my fiance. Again, I let him think he was still in the wedding. I sent out invites, and he doesn't get this. Wonder why. And I say it should be in the mail. But as the wedding gets closer, I talk to him less and less. Finally, I just cut him off cold turkey. No explanation. Complete and total radio silence. I did this because I wanted him to go the rest of his life wondering what happened and why I abandoned him. He didn't deserve closure, but I'm still mad. That's why I do this relatively harmless piece of revenge. F him. There was plenty of other stuff he did that I called him out on, but I always got those apologies that go, yeah, that's my bad, but you did this, so I'm not in the wrong, so you're bad. In this case, I think it's the absolute least he could do to him is spend him a couple of spam calls and waste his time. This man caused this gentleman to move across the state to a place he was unfamiliar with. Didn't have any friends, no contacts, not even a business. He went there on the perception that the business was going to be with his best friend, and his best friend turned on him. You know what? I think I'm going to send him a couple of spam call numbers. Send me his number. I get him all day long. Time to unload this man with 100 a day. Let me tell y'all something. If I did this, I had a best friend who encouraged me to move across the state. We're going to start this business together. I uproot my wife, my lifestyle, and my comfortable life where I'm at to come live in a completely different part of the state. And then now you don't have a business for me? Somebody got to die. You cost me an entire lifestyle and comfortable state of living that I was in to end up with nothing, and you move on to enjoying your life. You even doing drugs. Listen here. In one of your drug-induced moments, it'll be one of those situations where you might just get beat up. You're not going to remember it, so I can just sit there and act like the bruises came from something you did. I'm just telling you. If I had to do that, hey, man, what happens in your drug moment, I don't know. Maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. Guess you're going to have to figure it out. The other part of this story is if you come in and I'm my girlfriend that you've known, I've been dating for a while, and now I'm about to pop the big question on this special day, and you bring an entire new set of friends, you eat up all the food, you trash the house, and then you leave, guess what's going to happen when you get back? It's going to be a melee in the living room. My fiance, now my now fiance gets to see me whoop you up and down the stairs, all over, push your face in the food that you all ate. It's going to be a complete and utter melee. What I'm trying to say is, don't mess up my fiance's new life. We're trying to get this life going, and all of a sudden you want to mess that up. Somebody's got to pay. you're up. My boyfriend answers all scam calls with Mike's Mortuary. You stab him, we slab him. How can I help you? Hey, I may start doing that because that'll get people off the line real quick, unless it just happens to be another mortuary who wants to know how you stab him and slab him. Now you're giving advice. Now you're on the phone for another 30 minutes getting mortuary tips. We may have to think this one through. Bruh, you're hurting yourself in this process. Don't let this guy take up mental and emotional real estate. I feel like you could benefit from talking to someone. No shaming asking for help moving on from a really hurtful experience. Not saying the spam calls are a problem. That's just funny. Just that this is still bothering you, however long it's been since it's all happened. Hey, listen here. I'm a fan of payback for everybody, especially if you've done something wrong to me. This is light. All this man is getting is spam calls that he has to answer once or 100 times a day. I don't see anything wrong with this. Now, is he taking up mental real estate and emotional real estate in his life? Yeah, this man is probably not over it. But what's a spam call or two? He isn't doing anything wrong. Again, send us the number. We'll help you out. Sorry to hear this, man. I went through something similar with my best friend since preschool. We moved out at 18 into a 2-bedroom bath with his girlfriend splitting rent 3 ways. This was a sweet deal for all of us, but very quickly and sadly learned that he was on the tightest leash you can imagine. The garage door starts to open while me and him are chilling. Instantly stops conversation or turns off a video game to open and greet her at the door. Anytime she was home, he couldn't go or he couldn't do anything with me unless she was present. Things went about as good as you can expect for 3 18-year-olds. It wasn't until a few weeks before the lease was up, people were offering me available rooms to rent because the plan was to move out. But then they started saying how great things have been living there and how good of a roommate I was to them. So of course I stopped looking and turned down all the offers. A week before the lease renewal, I wake up to a note under the door saying I've always disrespected them and never treated him like a friend while living together, and saying I need to move out. What the hell? First of all, that's not how that works. Everyone's name is on the lease. Second of all, we've been brothers since preschool. Now, how the hell is he going to let her get in his head like that? Anyways, what I'm trying to say is losing a brother is hard, almost harder than a girl. When you lose a girl, you move on, create new memories. Forget about the old. But when you lose someone you grew up with, you tend to block out all those good memories you had with them over the ages. Our lives and decisions should be based off our memories. I don't think it's healthy to forget the past, especially memories growing up. Never forget, but you sure as hell don't have to forgive this guy. All you can know is he's losing sleep at night thinking about it, and you're in a better place. Nice revenge, by the way. Yeah, it's a hard thing when you have a best friend for years and then you have a falling out, because one of those things about building a friendship up that lasts that long are those memories that this gentleman talked about. Memories are hard to come by, especially building those memories and the amount of time that it takes to get there. One thing about this is he hasn't forgot the memories of the good times, I would think. You have to remember those. Those are part of your DNA. They're part of your history. But when someone messes you over, that thing called revenge factor does come into play. In this case, at some point, you're going to have to let it go and move on with your life. Got a better life, got a new wife, job as well. Maybe it may be time to move on. But one more spam call won't hurt. In conclusion, is this something that I would do? Absolutely. I would do this without even blinking twice, especially the amount of spam calls I get, because usually what I do is I put them on hold for as long as I possibly can. I play music for them, and even check on them. So yes, this is something that I would absolutely do. Now, the key to this is eventually you got to get over this. And I agree with that. Time heals all wounds. And in this case, it sounds like he's not over it. But what he has to look at is the positive side to this. He's got a new business. He's got a new wife. Life has moved on. We don't know what that friend is dealing with now, aside from the fact that he's getting spam calls today. But life is much better. Sounds like it's much better for the gentleman who's sending the spam calls. When it's all said and done, hey, what does 100 spam calls a day mean to somebody that messed you over? Absolutely nothing. Take the chance. Send a spam call. That's my PSA for today. Spend a spam call, feel better, move on. We'll end with that.